Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and today Eitan and I are getting to the bottom of why we are so afraid of death. This is something that has come up in different episodes over the years, but we've never really understood and addressed the fear of dying, the fear of death, and the fear of endings in general. And this is the week where we're given that supplement, that energetic boost to release and heal the fears and the attachments that we have on things happening the way we want them to and reality working out the way that we desire it to. And it's not that it's not a human to not desire that no one we love should ever have to leave us. But within that desire, there's an opportunity to learn about ourselves, the journey of the soul, and what's preventing us from truly living in this very moment. So we're excited to share with you and bring in some support for the new moon of Cancer that's in this week, and just a beautiful layering of energy that's inviting us to grow in all aspects and to heal so much in our body, mind, and spirit. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most practical and powerful tools to navigate the coming 7 days through the wisdom and tools of Kabbalah, so that every episode ends up offering wisdom and tools that are not only relevant and practical this week, but really any week of the year, any year of your life. And that combination of what the Zohar teaches this week and the transition from the month of Gemini to the month of Cancer on the Kabbalistic calendar really provide us with that opportunity to heal our perception more than anything. So, Eitan, why are we so afraid of death and dying?
There are two forces in this world in a very simple way: pain and pleasure. Actually, when the Creator created us in our origin, and the Kabbalah said the Creator created our soul, our vessel, which is the consciousness that can receive the Creator, with desire to receive fulfillment, with desire to receive the energy from the Creator. And with that, it means created receiving or not receiving. And if you just think about even desire, when you say, I want joy, I want happiness, but I don't want sadness and I don't want pain. So part of being alive is actually knowing that there's a force when spiritually, when I'm connected to the light, pleasure, when I'm disconnected to the light, pain. So these two forces, this pain and pleasure. The difference between people, Kabbalistically, is what everybody wants pleasure and doesn't want pain. The difference between people is what do you perceive as pain, what do you perceive as pleasure. Very often things that we perceive as pain is actually will bring us lasting pleasure if we're willing to go through it. So it's all about perception. Now, the same thing is about death. We're all accustomed to the life that we see. And part of our beliefs and part of the tikkun of this physical world, anything that I do not see and I never experience beyond my 5 senses, beyond my limited perception, that unknown is pain that I'm afraid of. Its end. So death, which represent the end of life, is the biggest pain. Kabbalistically, the source of all life is the Creator. What is the Creator? Infinite light, continuous energy of giving. What is the opposite of that energy? Finite. So There's nothing wrong about I don't want death because the Creator is life. So that's number one. So there's actually positive aspect to the fear of death, and there's the negative aspect to the fear of death. You know, there's it says that whoever buys a plot in a cemetery to later on be buried, even if you buy it in a young age, it's a sgula, it's a blessing for long life. What does it mean? You buy a plot, you're going to live longer? No. The mere fact that you're buying a plot, you're actually looking at this experience called death or departure, or your soul will no longer be in, God forbid, in the body. And you look at this straight, somehow it's extending your life. What does it mean? What does it mean? None of us wants to die. The ultimate goal is actually eventually to live forever, which is Mashiach consciousness and the Gemara Tikkun, the collective correction. So, what does it mean? So, in one hand, it says, Kabbalistically, that it's every human being, it's good for them to envision as if it's their last day on earth, and maybe they're not going to come back in the morning. Before going to sleep, they might not come back to this world. And by law, what does it mean? It means that what can I do to live more today? What can I do to grow more today? We know that the soul never dies. My true essence never dies. Nevertheless, this chapter in this particular lifetime, with this particular body, it's a chapter that I want to grow the most. So the healthy aspect of envisioning death is the aspect of how can I be more alive today? How can I grow the most today? Why is it so? So let's go a little bit what the Zohar tells us about what happened when the soul leaves the body. There's a process. There's a process of 7 days, of 30 days, of 11 months, but there's a process that the soul undergo. Part of the soul, when a person, what we call died, the higher part of the soul leaves the body right away. And there's the lower part of the soul that stays with the body. Now, and there's a process until that part depart and join the other. Guess what's happening when a person leaves this world? Leave it no longer mainly in the body, maybe aspect in the move. Guess what's happening? Suddenly, the soul, our true essence, is aware of what's going on and sees clearly what I've done in this world and what I could have done in this world based on my potential. And suddenly, if a person is a tzaddik, finishes tikkun, there's alignment with my true purpose, and there's amazing heavenly fulfillment. But when a person feel, wow, I realize how far I am from my potential. There's no buffer. I see clearly what was right, what was wrong, all the opportunity, all the waste of time. And if I'm very far from my potential, that's called hell. It's not just that, God will punish you. That's actually the pain of the disconnect from my true purpose and my real potential. So the benefit of envisioning it might be my last day, it's seeing life through the true eyes of reality. And I actually have done everything that I could have done. Forget what people think of me. Because in this moment of departure, do you think any of us worry about what people think of us? Do you think any of us worried about comparing to other people? Do you think any of us are concerned, wow, I did amazing thing. People told me, thank you. We care about one thing. To connect with my true soul purpose and reveal my light, reveal my potential for me and for the sake of sharing in the entire world. So from that point of view, it's very healthy to face that reality, to face that potential reality. It might have happened tomorrow, today. But there's a lot of negative aspect of that fear. Can you speak about the negative aspect of the fear?
Well, I think the assumption is everyone who's listening understands that the body is temporary and the soul is eternal, right? When we view the conversation about death from that perspective, death becomes a change of state rather than end. And the problem, like you said, the negative aspect of it is that our soul knows our eternal nature, but the ego is the part of us that identifies with the physical world, with tangible experiences, with what do people think of me. And so the negative way or the negative expression of the fear of death is actually, as a spiritual diagnosis, an over-identification with the ego. That the ego's consciousness, that desire to receive for the self alone, is what creates the attachment to control, possessions, status, that physical identity. So the real danger is that in my fear of death, I will avoid truly living. I will avoid being the person, taking the risks, telling people what I really feel, being the authentic me, because if I show who I really am, what if they don't like me anymore? If I'm vulnerable, I can get hurt and our relationship can end. The negative perspective on death is really a validation that I am more physical than I am spiritual, that my outsides are more important than my insides. And I had a conversation with a group of students we were studying from the writings, and conversation came up exactly about what you said before, Eitan. The idea that at some point there will be an end to pain and suffering and death will cease to exist. And one person said, well, what if I'm not with my kids? What if when that happens, I'm not, I don't live with the people, basically saying, what if I lose the labels and the reputation and the status and also the good stuff, the love that I have right now? And the reality is that sort of grasping, clenching what is really a big part of why the Kabbalists say, imagine your death, imagine your funeral. What would you regret? What would you feel you missed? What's the words that you wish you could have said? Because you should say those things not out of fear, but out of authenticity, out of desire for enlightenment and alignment with the light of the Creator and the light that's inside you. So when the conversation about death always comes up along the spiritual journey, because if you're truly growing in the way that you live your life in a spiritual way, automatically the fear of death should be diminishing. Every act of growth, of transformation, of overcoming our reactive behavior creates something eternal. And the more eternal expression you have, the more eternal value you create. And I don't just mean having children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, but literally watching how your existence makes a difference, has impact, elevates the room or the city or the world where you live. You start to realize it's not about you. The instrument that you're using to walk the planet right now is temporary, but the energy you contribute is eternal. And that shift, obviously, anytime we hear somebody passing away, or especially when it's a younger person that passes away, it makes us turn inward and take stock. I can't take anything for granted. Tell the people that, tell your loved ones that you love them. But even more so, how can I have a healthy relationship with the fact that I can't take anything for granted? Moves that fear from being negative into that fear becoming a catalyst a motivator, something that pushes me not to wait, not to even to take that. Some of us have that tendency to be a perfectionist, right? That I'm going to wait until everything is lined up or perfect. You don't have time for that, not because your time is running out, but because the opportunity to add that value, to express the light of my soul is limited. I don't want to miss a moment of it. And that really makes you want to not only be more spiritual, but also enjoy life more. Take advantage of every moment. Doesn't only mean hard work, it also means delight, enjoyment, really taking a moment to both receive and give light in a lasting way. So I feel like being able to shift from fear of end to fear of not fulfilling
My
is
potential.
right.
Yeah.
That not to experience fulfillment, but to if I said I want to come to the physical reality and I'm going to accomplish A, B, and C and heal X, Y, and Z, the fear of not fulfilling my potential, not fulfilling the commitment to do that is becomes the driving force. And that's why when we share what we share every week, it becomes hopefully that incentive almost that, if you do this, you're moving closer to the fulfillment, to the total fulfillment of your purpose and away from the world of regret and pain and disappointment. And so for me, a lot of that conversation is about if I knew that tomorrow was my last day, what would I do differently? We're meant to live our lives living that differently. And to use that fear as a motivator and a catalyst and not as a dark cloud that prevents us from being or doing or releasing the hold that we have on controlling and having everything exactly the way it needs to look. So this conversation isn't always the most comfortable one, but it's really intended to be one that creates freedom because we no longer are hiding behind that fear anymore.
Beautiful. Now I want to bring it more to the practical day to day. So, Kabbalistically, any action that represent alignment with the light is action that brings continuity, light, and life force. Any actions that is the opposite of the light, which is lack of continuous, lack of continuity, it's actually considered to be death force. So, in a very simple level, any reactive consciousness and behavior which promote instant gratifications and we don't care about long term is the promote energy of death, of finite, of chaos. Any energy of selfishness, it's all about me. That ending with me, it's energy of death and chaos. So basically, how do you promote, how do you get closer to more life and beating death? In a very simple level, what drives us to be reactive, what drives us to be selfish is conscious and unconscious fears. Very simple. Fear that I'm not going to have, that something going to be taken away from me, that I wasn't respected, that I'm going to lose, that I'm going to be judged, that I'm going to be destroyed, I'm not going to have a worth, I'm not all this fear of death. As a result, I'm reactive, which has perpetuated more energy of death and finite. So what do you do about it? In a very simple level, this week, it's about face your fears. What are the fears you are not facing? By running away from your fears, by being controlled by your fears, you're controlled by the force of death. Facing your fears. I feel fear right now. I can't stand it. I feel anxious. It's okay. Feel the fear. Imagine the fear is just, instead of being driven to movies about the future, the fear is an uncomfortable feeling, unknown feelings in your body that you're deciding actually, in order to Find the light that all of us want, the force of continuity. Don't run away from the fear. Be willing to face the fear. In the same way about, yeah, I want to help, I want to commit, but I'm afraid what's going to be. That's indication, do it. Face your fear. Face your fear proactively when it leads you towards actions and commitment and helping and talking and communicating. Face your fear when you entertain a situation. Wow, I don't think this person is good in my life, but I'm afraid to say no. I'm afraid to confront them. Actually, I'm not saying get rid of the person, but face your fear. It's okay. Maybe not. I'm open. Allow yourself to fly in the unknown. That's where the energy of defeating force of death is available. When I'm running away from these fears by being strong, by appearing powerful, by shutting down, by being reactive, by being selfish, by running away from situations and commitment, I'm actually giving more power to death. So facing our fear, the same way we spoke in a big picture, it's good to look at death. But in the day to day, every fear that I have, by running away from it, I'm thinking small. I'm not looking at life force. I'm looking about temporary relief from that fear that I'm experiencing. Oh, now I'm relaxed. What do you think will give you more energy? Be willing to face the fear. Allow yourself to feel the fear with consciousness of the light is here. It's okay. I'm going to be rejected. Maybe you're going to be rejected. Are you willing to open yourself to possibly face it? And you will be fine. I'm afraid to be failed. You know what? I'll do my maximum effort. There's no failing in it. And even the temporary feeling of failing, it's also, are you okay? No. Why not? It's going to happen actually more when you're not okay with that. So that consciousness of running away from fear is running away from life. Because we know in a real reality, death is an illusion. The energy of continuity of the creator is always here. Every time I'm running from fear, I'm running from dying. And actually, that's what caused dying. Part of my life is dying. When you feel uninspired, unmotivated, bored, life is the same. Is that? Is that?
It's so interesting that you bring that into the practical aspect of this week's work, because we also have the new moon of Cancer that falls on Monday and Tuesday this week. And Cancer, the month of Cancer, it's the only sign of the year, the only month of the year that's controlled by the moon, which we connect with, we associate it with the energy of Malchut, manifestation, physicality, and finality. And right, the cycle, the moon appears and disappears. And as every night when we see the moon, right, in different phases, that high degree of variability of the energy of the moon creates in this month perception of instability and uncertainty. And so people born under the sign might be more challenged than other signs in the area of fear. Cancerians are known to be motivated by fear. Their fear of missing out might inspire them to do something rather than truly having a desire. And so we all have to be aware, not only in these first 2 days of the month, but the whole month of Cancer, that we're not letting our fears not only limit us, but also not to define us. This is a month where the focus really is transforming fear. So it's a perfect opportunity for us to talk about not only fear of death, but really fears of all kinds, and looking into the support we need to break free from fear as a mindset in general and in the specific areas of our life where we see it. So especially this Monday and Tuesday, we want to make sure we show up as the best version of ourselves more sharing, more proactive, more kindness and generosity, knowing that those 2 days, those 48 hours create an imprint, the mold for this month, that daring, if we can be more daring and more fearless in those 2 days, it will help us to be more fearless the rest of the month, but also to know in that seed, there is all of the fruit that's going to come out this month that's going to be revealed. So we want to make sure to infuse those 2 days with as much consciousness and connection as possible as well. Anything else that you think we need to share with our friends before we sign off, Eitan?
Yes, please, Elisheva, share with everyone about the beautiful weekend that is coming soon.
Yes, so it's not too late to join us if you are free. 4th of July weekend, we are having a soul healing retreat here in Los Angeles. Eitan and I will be there. Monica and Michael Berg, the co-directors of the Kabbalah Center, are in town and a part of the experience as well, with so many other teachers. And I think one of the beautiful things about this retreat is how immersive it is to be surrounded by wisdom, tools, connection, light. That whole week we'll be talking about healing, and we consciously chose that weekend to get together so that we can access that light together as a group with consciousness and in that immersive experience, the sound healing, breath work, meditation, prayer, workshops, lectures. I mean, the whole weekend is designed to help you generate healing in every single aspect of your life. We would love for you to join us. Even if you're new to this practice, new to this study, it is for newcomers as well as seasoned students alike. And the link to learn more is in this week's episode description. It's on weeklyenergyboost.com. If you have any questions, please let us know. We would love to share that experience, those 72 hours with all of you. And we want to remind you, Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us there to receive even more content to help support you in living what we talk about every week in every episode. Also on weeklyenergyboost.com, you can read more about the retreat and other things we think are important for our listeners to know about. You can search through our archives, send us a message, and click the donate button to help make Weekly Energy Boost possible. But most importantly, we all know people who are hiding behind their fears, who are letting their fears define them. Share this episode and watch the transformation take place. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.